Is it really?
Anniversary
There's a Mariah?
Good evening and welcome, everyone. I'm calling the January 22nd regular City Council meeting to order. If you would like to join the council and myself in the Pledge of Allegiance, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on our agenda this evening is audience comments. This is your time to address the council. The guidelines for public participation are displayed on the overhead screen. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Those who signed up on our sign-up sheet will be called up first, but if you did not sign up, I will also ask if there's anyone else who would like to address council this evening. And if you're here on behalf of a group as a spokesperson, please identify yourself. And while you're in the audience this evening, if a speaker presents some information that you are in support of, please raise your hand so the council understands the support behind the topic. Tina, I'll go very slowly. Anyone signed up to speak this evening?
Thank you. There are none.
Is there anyone who would like to address council this evening? Second call. Anyone wishing to address council? And a last call. Seeing no one, that ends audience comments for this evening. And we go to committee and regional reports. Councilmember Hunt.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Council Infrastructure Committee met on January 17th, 2019. We had 3 items on our agenda. The first one was AB 7538, Updated Water System Plan. The committee's unanimous recommendation was to approve, and this item is on the agenda for this evening, but as a item for information, and it will be coming back next month for action. The next item the Council Infrastructure Committee discussed was AB 7714, amending IMC 18.22, wireless communication facilities and related fees. This was a discussion item, and the next step will be for this to go to the Planning Policy Commission, and the discussion focused around how to align our code in light of the FCC ruling on the topic of wireless communication facilities. The third and final item discussed by the Council Infrastructure Committee was AB 7715, Front Street Streetscapes Phase 1 project. And this was a discussion around improvement to Front Street. And there was a question raised by the committee about the funding mechanism, which was recommended for the $156,000 approximately cost to come out of the general fund. And so there was discussion about this funding mechanism, and the committee recommended that this AB be referred back to the full council with an explanation regarding the funding strategy and an option for treating this as part of the capital improvement discussion. And in project updates, we heard that the Southeast 62nd Street is almost open and will be open at the end of the month. So that's exciting. For my regional appointments, the King Conservation District Advisory Board met on January 16th, and I also attended a King Conservation District stakeholder workshop on Saturday, January 12th. The discussion at both of these meetings was around the plan for an increase in the per parcel fee. The King Conservation District is looking to increase their fee by approximately $3 per parcel. It's currently approximately $10 per parcel. And as part of that work and part of the justification of the increase, they are working on their work plan for the next years and their book of work, as they refer to it, and what they will be working on with the different jurisdictions and making sure that all the needs of the jurisdictions are met. And then the WIRA 8 Salmon Recovery Council met on January 17th, and I wasn't able to attend, but I got a report back from Alan Quinn, who attended from the city. And one important update at that meeting is that Snohomish County is opting out of the ILA, and so their portion of the ILA budget will need to be covered in other ways. So the council is looking at options for how to cover that. And they opted out of the ILA for budgetary reasons. And then the next meeting of the Salmon Recovery Council will be March 21st at the Mercer Island Community Center. And this concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Hunt. Councilmember Ray.
Thank you, Mayor Pauly. The Services and Safety Committee met on January 8th. We had a single agenda item. It was an update from Economic Development on the economic development for the end of 2018. The next Services and Safety meeting will be on February 12th here in Council Chambers. Eastside Fire and Rescue Board met on February 14th. There were a couple of briefings from the chief, one on PFAS, one on the potential merger of Eastside Fire and Rescue with the Falls City Fire Department, and also an update on the AMR ambulance service averting their strike. Also, new business involved ILA with a number of Eastside cities to share emergency reserve apparatus. And then finally, there was a item related to Eastside Fire and Rescue potentially providing emergency management service for the city of Sammamish. The next Eastside Fire and Rescue Board meeting will be on February 14th, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Ray. Councilmember Winterstein?
Thank you. My regional committee, the Growth Management Policy Board, has not met since the end of January. Our next meeting is the first Thursday in February, and I'll have an advance report at our next regular meeting. That's my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you. I have no report.
Deputy Council President Batiste.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick update. The Eastside Human Services Forum first meeting of the year will be February 13th at 2:30 in Bellevue. That was moved from January, so we'll have a report after that meeting. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Council President Martz.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Sound Cities Association Public Issues Committee met on Wednesday, January 9th. We discussed a number of topics. No action was proposed. One of the areas of discussion was regional transit and road maintenance planning. And SCA at the March meeting, because we're not meeting in February because of AWC, at the March meeting is going to want some feedback from cities on sort of draft plans that we are seeing from King County. Unfortunately, I can't quite bring that information in front of you yet because I want to have the minutes from the January meeting so you can see the conversation that occurred at SCA, at PIC. So as soon as I have those minutes, I will forward them on, and then I will work with the administration on how best we want to have a dialogue on what we're seeing from the county. I'll mention that the Sound Cities Association Network Dinner is occurring Wednesday, January 30th at 5:30 p.m. For the three of us who are not on the Economic Vitality Strategic Plan Subcommittee meeting, it'd be a great opportunity to see Dow Constantine present, but the three of us who are on the subcommittee won't be able to attend. And then King County Growth Management Policy Council will be meeting Wednesday, February 27th at 4 p.m. in PSRC chambers, and the agenda has not been published yet. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Council President. For the mayor's report this evening, there will be an executive session held this evening to discuss property acquisition per RCW 42.30.110 per N1 per NB. This item is expected to last 20 minutes, and no action is anticipated to follow in open session. As mentioned last week in local and national newspapers, as well as our own city news alerts, I and many of the mayors from the East Side signed a joint declaration stating our support for housing options for all. Issaquah is committed to diversifying housing options for its community through several initiatives, including a mixed-use, transit-oriented development project proposal with Spectrum Development and the King County Housing Authority that I hope to bring forward to council this year, the continuing development of a citywide housing strategy, and an increase in the amount of required affordable housing in new development in the central Issaquah area as a result of the work that the council did on the Moratorium Action Work Plan. In order to complete these types of projects, cities, nonprofits, and the private sector need to partner together, and I'm very excited about Microsoft's announcement last week to provide seed money to make these types of projects possible. As was mentioned earlier, I think Councilmember Hunt stole my thunder. Southeast 62nd Street is opening. Issaquah's newest road is scheduled to open by the end of January. We've made a major improvement to our road network on the north side of I-90 by extending Southeast 62nd Street between 221st Place and Lake Drive. This project has also added roundabouts where 62nd Street intersects 221st Place and the East Lake Sammamish Trail, and again at Lake Drive on Costco's campus. It's made upgrades along the East Lake Sammamish Trail so that users will no longer have to stop or interact with vehicles at Southeast 62nd Street. It preserves close to 6 acres of property between the North Fork and main stem of the Issaquah Creek, which were previously zoned for multifamily development. It constructs 2 acres of wetland and makes enhancements to the North Fork of Issaquah Creek. And 4th Avenue Northwest, also called the Interstate 90 crossing, or our secret little shortcut through town, will also reopen at the end of January. Thank you for your patience as we completed this work over the last 2 years. I know it has made moving through town very difficult, especially since this secret favorite shortcut had been open for 4 years, and then we had to close it for up to 2 to complete this project. You have been very patient with us. The final project completion is still spring 2019, since we do have to add a final top course of pavement and complete landscaping and some other items. But it was staff's desire to get this opened as soon as practically possible, and I'm really glad they did. This is really great work. That concludes the mayor's report. Proceeding to the consent calendar. The consent calendar was distributed to council in advance. If authorized, the items on the consent calendar will be considered together and approved by one motion. Have the payables and payroll been reviewed?
Yes.
Thank you. Does any council member desire to remove any item from the consent calendar and consider it under regular business? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move we adopt the consent calendar as listed in this evening's published agenda.
Second?
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That carries unanimously. The next item on our agenda this evening under regular business is AB 7538, Updated Water System Plan. This has been heard at multiple council work sessions and most recently is coming out of the Infrastructure Committee. Tonight, council will receive an informational presentation on recent modifications to the plan, and council will be asked to adopt the plan at the February 19th, 2019 council meeting. I'd like to invite Engineering Manager Bob York to make a presentation.
There it is.
Good evening, Bob.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'm glad I'm not late tonight because it's only 11 minutes after the hour. Run show. Yeah, go ahead. I see it now. Tonight's agenda item is now just an informational briefing instead of any action required on the water system plan. And I'll mention why in a minute. I'm Bob York, by the way, the engineering manager for Public Works Engineering and Utilities.
You might have to go a little closer to the mic, Bob.
Okay,
Thanks.
thanks. Brief background on the water system plan. Prepared in 2017, early 2018. Presented at council on March 19th, 2018, referred to CIC. There's been several meetings at CIC and then numerous 4 council work sessions where various policy issues were addressed. Throughout all this engagement, there was multiple opportunities for public input and public comment. We have received comments from the Washington State Department of Health and adjacent water systems, and those comments have been addressed. Washington State Department of Health gave us a verbal okay to proceed with the adoption process. As Councilmember Hunt mentioned, the CIC referred this agenda item back to full council at tonight's meeting, but as I'll explain in a minute, we're going to defer action for a month. Now, the updated water system plan and proposed resolution are now available as part of tonight's presentation and will be further refined in the coming days. So recent developments occurring since the CIC meeting were, thanks to advice from the city attorney, we recognize that preliminary SEPA determination, the public comment period is underway, and that public comment period is 3 days from now. It ends 3 days from now, January 25th, 2019, and we were advised that it's inappropriate for council to take action until the full SEPA compliance process is completed. So that's why we've pushed the agenda for adoption until February 19th. So once we get any comments, and as of this morning, there have been no comments, we'll make a SEPA determination final and then come back to council for adoption. We feel that a month is enough time to address all the SEPA issues. Now, significance of adoption. We're required to adopt a water system plan as part of our compliance process with the Washington State Department of Health. It's also referenced in the comp plan as a complement to our Issaquah comprehensive plan. The water system plan includes recommendations for capital improvements that total approximately $61 million over the next 20 years. The biggest one of those is the water treatment plant and related facilities. Chapter 12 of the water system plan provides an overview of the financial impacts, but it doesn't go into the specific rate issues. That's scheduled for evaluation this year in 2019. It's important to note that the water system plan adoption doesn't obligate the city to do any new capital projects or change any ongoing O&M procedures. It's just a reference document for the future. And decisions made to fund any of the projects identified in the water system plan will individually come in front of the council as part of the capital budgeting process. So next steps, a few extra steps thanks to the SEPA issue. We'll finalize that. We will then ask for council adoption of the water system plan on February 19th. After adoption, we go back to the Washington State Department of Health in King County for their approval of the adopted water system plan. Then we begin fairly quickly after adoption the following activities: the rate study for water, sewer, and stormwater. We're going to quickly dive into the fluoride considerations associated with the zones that are fluoridated and unfluoridated currently in the city. And then we plan on beginning the first phases of water treatment and blending evaluations. So, although we're not doing it tonight, our recommendation for a month from now when we get our SEPA Act in order is to have the council approve the proposed resolution to adopt the 2018 water system plan. Thanks. Any questions?
Thank you, Bob. You want to hang around in case they have questions? Do any council members have questions for Bob? Seeing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
So again, this item will return to council for final action at the February 19th, 2019 council meeting. The next item on the agenda is good of the order. I know, it's shocking. Everybody relax. Good of the order. I have a few items. I'm looking to see if any of you have some items. No items. Emily?
Thank you, Mayor Polly. I wanted to just remind council that during the next 2 weeks, we will be holding ad hoc small groups work sessions to dive deeper into the 6 strategic plan priority goal areas. 3 different council members, each will be attending 3 different sessions to develop a better understanding of what's in a specific priority goal area. Along with staff, council members will also refine performance measures, objectives, and actions. These meetings will be recorded and available for viewing on our YouTube channel. Today, staff sent out an agenda for these ad hoc meetings to council members, along with background materials, including a list of criteria the small groups will use to refine what is included in each goal area of the plan. These criteria include things like whether or not the components of the plan are realistic, achievable, enable us to make strategic trade-offs, and are outcome-oriented, among others. Some additional prioritization criteria will be established during the meetings and as a result of council members sharing their thoughts about what is important to be included in each goal area. We look forward to having great ad hoc meetings with all of you and being able to work on refining our strategic plan elements and then being able to bring forward that council member recommended plan to the full council during a February work session of the entire council. Thank you.
Thank you. A couple of upcoming meetings. January 29th, Committee of the Whole. The potential agenda items include the 2018 Community Fund Report Out, Raleigh Development Agreement Evaluation, WashDOT I-90 Auxiliary Lane Project. On February 1st, we will be having a council retreat from 1 to 5 p.m. at Tibbetts Creek Manor, and the agenda items for that will be forthcoming. And on February 4th, for the regular council meeting, the potential agenda items include the appointment for council position number 4, Youth Advisory Board presentation, and Front Street Streetscape Phase 1 project. The next item on our agenda this evening is an executive session. As earlier announced, there will be an executive session held this evening to discuss property acquisition per RCW 42.30.110 paren 1 paren B. This item is expected to take 20 minutes, and no action is anticipated to follow an open session. We will now recess into executive session at 7:21 p.m. We are back in open session at 7:45 PM, and there being no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 7:45 PM.